boat and go before him to the other side. And while he sent the multitude away, and when he had sent the multitude away, he went up on the mountain by himself to pray. Now evening came, and he was alone there. But the boat was now in the middle of the sea, tossed by the waves, for the wind was contrary. Now in the fourth watch of the night, Jesus went to them, walking on the sea. And when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were troubled, saying, "It is a ghost," and they cried out for fear. And immediately Jesus spoke to them, saying, "Be of good cheer, it is I, do not be afraid." Peter answered him and said, "Lord, if it is you, command me to come to you on the water." So he said, "Come." And when Peter had come down of the boat, he walked on water to go to Jesus. And when he saw that the wind was boisterous, he was afraid, and beginning to sink, he cried out, saying, "Lord, save me." And immediately Jesus stretched out his hand and caught him, and said to him, "O you of little faith, why did you doubt?" And when they got into the boat, and the wind ceased. This morning I would like to speak to you on the subject of ride the waves. Ride the waves. Please be seated in the presence of God. Ride the waves. Ride the waves. Can you tell this to 3 people, 4 people this morning? Ride the waves. Ride the waves. Ride the waves. Tell 3 people this morning. Ride the waves. Ride the waves. Praise God. Ride the waves. Ride the waves. As believers, we have to understand that the storm is your advantage. I'm already talking. The storm is your advantage. As a Christian, you should never think of the storm being your disadvantage. For it is not your disadvantage, it's your advantage. In the world of sports, there is a water sport that is called surfing. And surfing, which is simply the act of riding the waves of the water, and mainly on the ocean using a board. To be able to do this, you must swim upstream in the direction of the waves, and then be able to balance yourself on the board and flow through the waves. Now, you have to note, for those that have seen surfers before, is that the surfing board does not have an engine. It does not have wheels. It does not have a steering wheel. It has nothing but itself and the one that rides on top of it. And they have one thing that they use to their advantage is the waves of the ocean. The waves of the ocean gives them the boost they need, the power they need in order for them to get to the place where they need to go. If you are going to surf, you have to know that the waves are not against you, but they are for you. If you are going to surf over the waves, you have to realize that the waters are not meant to sink you, but you are meant to surf over them. If you are going to surf, you have to understand that the power of the wind can only make it easy for you to do your job. That is how many believers, when they look at life, they think that because life is harsh, life is blowing all type of powers upon your life, you feel like, I'm not going to make it. But you have to know that the blows of life are meant to assign you into and propel you into your very destiny. And the speed of the wind with which life comes and beat against your life is the very engine that you are going to use to find yourself to the place where God needs you to be. Oh, our pastor, do you know this stuff? Is because when I look at the life of Joseph, I can understand that the hatred of his brother was the wind that God used to push him right in the direction where he needed to be. I don't know the kind of wind that has been blowing in your life, but one thing I know is that if God allows the wind to blow over you, He knows the direction in which He wants to see. So I'm looking for people that can get their surfing board and get on top of it and say, I'm not gonna let this storm stop me. Oh yes, I'm not going to let this storm stop me, for the storm is my advantage. It's been a while now. Every time I preach, I would like to preach with certain observation, because it really allows me to put everything in perspective before I really deliver which that God has for us. One of the first observation that we have looking at the text is that you have to know that things will not always work for you. Even if it was Jesus who said go to the other side, does not mean that it's just gonna be so easy. Not always things will work for you. And not only things will not work for you, sometimes you will also understand that your expectation of things cannot be matched. You are expecting something to come in this direction, and all of a sudden it doesn't happen the way you wanted it to happen. Yes, that's life. It can happen to you. You know, if you think that Jesus told us to go to the other side, we are thinking that it's going to be a smooth ride, because what? The will of God. Jesus is the one that told us to go to the other side, so nothing can happen. And you get in the middle of the sea, the storm begins. Oh my God, Lord, are you sure you really told us? You guys, are you sure you heard really God? Because I wasn't there when He told you. So just because things does not go as you expected them, does not mean that you should panic. In life, there are always surprises. Another observation is that in life, there are spectators and there are actors. There are people who watch and there are people who do. There are people who are sitting with you, but their job is just to look at how far you can go. And there are people who have a certain boredom to sit. They just gotta do something. In the boat, it was not only Peter who was in, it was the rest of the disciples. But Peter was the only one who decided to do something. So this morning, if you're going to ask yourself a question, are you a spectator to your own audience, or are you an actor to your own life? Another observation that I have this morning is that history does not often remember the passive. History does not often remember the passive. Those who do nothing, hardly history will speak of you. Yes, you are safe. You don't take any challenges. You don't move into places where you need to be. Say, hey, I'd rather stay out of those problems. You know what? I've had enough trouble for me this year. Let me just stay out of it. And I'm here to tell you that sometimes history will remember those who get involved, and those who sit and say, you know what? I'm just going to let it cool. There are certain things that won't cool down until you cool them yourself. History will not remember the passive. Those who are active, history will remember you and write stories of your life and destiny. Another observation this morning, please bear with me, is that there are things that disappear with the storm, and there are things that appear with the storm. Oh God. There are certain things when the storm has blown off, they totally disappear. And there are things that when the storm blows off, they come alive. Now, Freddie, it's often the things that were hidden so much at the depth of the sea that often becomes visible when the storm has come on. You'll kind of remember, you look at all these kind of things that are passing by and you tell yourself, where are these things coming from? Yes, they were in the sea. You didn't know. So the storm has the power to reveal in you things, qualities, potential, powers, gifting that you did not know you had. Oh, let this storm blow. You're going to know that you were a champion, but you were neglecting yourself. Oh yes, let this storm blow. You're going to know that you were a winner, but you were just sleeping on your gifts. Oh, let this storm blow. You're going to know that you were too clever to be sitting down and acting like you don't know nothing. Oh yes, let the storm blow. You will realize that those hands of yours are strong. Come on, somebody. Let the storm blow. You realize that you are even you are a black belt karate kid, but you never took karate class. Let the storm blow. They will confuse you for Mike Tyson or Waymaker or whatsoever and say, have you won a championship in fighting? You say, no, I never won a championship. Is that the storm has just risen a champion within me? Another lesson in this observation is that failure does not have to be the end of it. Tell somebody, say, failure doesn't have to be the end of it. Storms in life often brings out purpose. Storms also brings out compassion. And I like how it often goes around in our life that, you know, with everything that you face, with everything that you go through, there's just a sense of compassion that comes into a person's mind when you have gone through certain things. You know, everybody can be arrogant and be very prideful and say, you know what, how can he do such a thing? How can he fall like that? No, how can he be able to have that until you have gone through the same thing that that person has gone through, and then you become humble. You say, we should not be too quick to judge. You know, I was just too stupid because these things were looking from it on the outside. Now that I've gone through it myself. You know, it's easy for you to tell somebody, say, God is with you. We are praying for you, and so forth and so on. But until you go through what that person has gone through, you realize that, I know you're just saying it, but I wish you could really do it. Because it brings a sense of compassion. Sometimes you feel exempted to everyone's reality until you're in the storm. Then you realize this reality is really true. And my last observation before I get in my message is that storm birth history makers. Storm birth history makers. Storm birth storm riders. Storm birth people that ride the waves. They are not scared of the waves. They ride the waves. They take charge of what was against them and say, you are a wild beast, but I'm going to ride on you and tame you. Come on. You are a wild tiger, but I'm going to ride on you just like you were a pet. You are a wild horse, but I'm going to tame you. I'm going to take the bull by the horn and tell you, you're going to do what I say you do. I feel an anointing this morning. And I want to talk to you about two qualities of storm riders and wave riders this morning. Because in the context of the scripture we read, the Bible says, immediately Jesus told the disciples to go on the other side. He went up on the mountain to pray. So to only show up later walking on the sea when there is a storm. He says, get on the boat, jump to the other side, float to the other side, go to the other side, and it disappears. The next time we hear Jesus is walking on the water in the midst of a storm. The first qualities of storm riders is that they are people of prayer. Oh yes, church, I'm just hearing 3 rows. Can I hear the whole church? They are people of prayer. Storm riders are people of prayer. If you are going to be somebody that is going to take that storm by the head, stalk it and take it by the horns and ride it in the direction where it's meant to propel you and not sink you, you gotta be a man and a woman of prayer. Because prayer puts you above circumstances. You cannot pray and be under circumstances. Prayer as a way to lift you up into the circumstance and begin to place you above it. And it's only when you are above something that you can sort it out. Nobody has ever fixed a problem being in the problem. You're not listening to me. Nobody has ever fixed an issue being in the issue. You gotta first elevate yourself out of the issue, above the issue. Tell yourself, I'm way better than this. I'm way smarter than this. When you elevate yourself out of that circumstances, your vision becomes clear. And it's only when your vision is clear that you can sort out whatever is going on. And so prayer has the capacity to elevate you above circumstances. Listen, when you are going through something and you don't pray about it, you are under it. But when you begin to pray, your head begins to rise. Your mind begins to work again. Your spirit begins to function again. And before you know it, you are above what is troubling you. Listen, when Jesus is showing up on the sea, in the midst of the storm, he's not swimming. Is not executing his grace to swim and flow. Jesus is walking. To walk means to be on top of it. The disciples say, no, it can't be. It is a ghost. Because the Jesus we know was praying in the mountain. No. A man of prayer is above circumstances. There is a storm, but he's above the storm. Everybody is crying, but you are above what is making others cry. Everybody is complaining, but you are above what is making others complain. I pray in this season that God will raise men and women who do not pray diplomatically, who don't pray casually, who don't pray circumstantially, but they pray because they understand prayer is my life, and if I pray, I will always remain on top of every storm. It is good to cry, but it's better to pray. Things are not working, cry a little bit, it's fine. It's therapeutic. I, as a psychologist, I advise you to cry. Let your tears run. But after you've cried, pray. Because tears does not change things. Prayer changes things. Hallelujah. Somebody shout prayer. Shout it one more time. You cannot pray and be at the same level with the situation you are facing. Any men and women of prayer are always above the situation. They are telling Esther, say, you know what? We're going to kill every Jew. And if you do not go to the king, we are all going to be dead. And don't think that because you are a queen, you're going to be spared. Esther should have used the privilege she has as a queen and go before the king. She said, no. If I go there, I'm going to be at the same level with the issue. These people might bring up laws and regulations that are going to bring me in a disadvantage. She went and locked herself for 3 days without eating and drinking. She began to fast. She began to pray. And after 3 days, she shows up in the palace. And you know what the king is saying? He said, what is it you want, my queen? Even half of my kingdom, I will give it to you. Because there's something about prayer. When there was meant to be judgment, you become above the judgment. I wonder why you are wasting your time on Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, while you should be investing your time in prayer, in fasting, in seeking the face of God. Because as much as you sink your head in Facebook, you sink your head in Instagram, you sink your head on all these kind of social medias, you are just thinking yourself in the issues. But there's something that can raise your head. Prayer. Oh my God. Lord, let me run out of every kind of appetite, but let me never run out of the appetite of prayer. You wake up in the morning and you say, I don't feel like eating today. But I never when I woke up in the morning, I don't feel like I want to pray. Because if you are going to be a storm rider, if you are going to face the challenges of life, you can only do it when you are a person of prayer. Secondly, prayer is fuel for the supernatural. I have not seen a person who does pray and who has not lived the supernatural in their life. James chapter 5 and verses 17. James chapter 5 verse 17 in the NLT version. The Bible talks about Elijah was a human as we are. Everybody read with me. 1, 2, 3. Elijah was a human as we are. Yet when he prayed earnestly that no rain will fall, and none fell for the next 3.5 years. He was a common man. But what made him supernatural man? Prayer. They're looking at you. It's just a neighbor in this taxi. You are not just a neighbor in this taxi. You are a supernatural being. You are a bomb that is carrying explosive supernatural abilities. And if you will let me just pray a little bit, you will understand that the power of the Holy Ghost is really flowing in this vessel. And that's why in this season of shift, I want to invite you to the gathering of prayer, because it makes you a supernatural person. They're looking at you. It's just another lady. No, it's nothing, just not another lady. I am just as you are, but my prayer makes me supernatural. My words are not just words. My words are decrees. My words are laws. My words are things that are set up in the supernatural realms. And whatever I say goes because of the engine of prayer within my spirit. Listen. The devil plays with commoners, but he never gets near people who have that engine of prayer in their life. They will tell you that even if you are lost in the forest, make sure that you have a light, you have a fire kindled around the place where you are going to sleep, because there's something about wild beast and fire. Every time they see fire, they see danger, and every time they see danger, they gotta stay away from that danger. Every time they see your fire of prayer burning, the devil gotta stay 100 meters, 200 meters, 1 kilometer away from your house. The reason why he's coming in our houses, touching our kids, touching our children, touching our marriages, the way he feels like doing it so, is because there's no fire of prayer that is rising in our life. And if you are going to be a supernatural kind kind of Christian, not just Christian by name, not just Christian because you have a bracelet, not just Christian because you came to church on a Sunday, but you are a Christian that has a functioning engine of prayer. I'm telling you, there's no principalities, there's no authorities, there is no powers, there is no kingdom that you cannot be able to turn against, because the engine of prayer is fuel for the supernatural. Every time you pray, your engine is running and you are being refueled. Never let yourself run out of prayer. Prayer is the air that propels you in heights despite gravity. Last week I was doing a little gathering for Elton, and they wanted some balloons, so I went to get balloon. And I get to this shop and I say, I want, if you can inflate this balloon for me. And they said, do you want oxygen or do you want helium? What is that other one? Helium. I said, what's the difference? He said, this one is just normal air. So it doesn't do nothing. It just inflates but does nothing. But this other one, since you want the balloons to hang, you're going to have to put helium, because helium is a type of oxygen within, is a type of air, for the sake of being chemically correct, is a type of air that once it's inside a balloon, it propels it outwards. So it defies the laws of gravity. Where the laws of gravity says you are going to be pulled toward, you are going to be pulled down, the helium in you is saying, in spite of the gravity force, I'm going to propel you. Now listen, every time you pray, you are not bringing oxygen within you, because oxygen just makes me walk, but it brings in me helium. And what helium does, instead of me walking, I begin to fly. That's the reason why the Bible says, they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall run and not be weary. They shall fly, they shall walk and not be tired. And they shall take their wings like eagles to fly. Because when you are a person of prayer, there is something in you that propels you into heights in spite of gravity. What is gravity? It is the amount of people that do not want you to succeed. It's the amount of people that says, we're never going to sign this document. We're never going to allow you to go there. All those are forces of gravity pulling you downward, saying you're going to stay here. But prayer is saying you can't stay here. Even if they put some kind of string around your life, around your neck, God say, I'm going to show you that you are not meant for here. And so you begin to rise. You are rising, and they're saying, how is it that you are rising? It's because what is in me is not what is in you. And that's why the Bible says, greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world. Meaning that in the world there's somebody, and in me there's a kind of different thing. And I'm here to tell you, I'm not going to look at what is going around me to determine what is normal for me, but I'm going to determine what is in me to determine my height and what I defy. So the next time they tell you you're not going to make it, tell them you don't know what is in me. Or the next time they tell you you are crazy for your dreams, tell them you don't know what is in me. If you knew what is in me, you will be hanging around me, because I got enough power not only to lift myself, but if you hang around me, I can also lift you. That's why I understand if believers are going to rise, they're going to rise not only as themselves, not only as individuals, but as families. Not only as families, but as communities. Not only as communities, they are going to rise as nations, because the blessing in you is a force that defies gravity. And this Sunday morning, I want to tell you, prayer is that air that propels you to defy gravity. This Sunday morning, let nobody tell you otherwise. If you are a person of prayer, it was impossible for Jesus to sink. How do you sink somebody that is being propelled upward? In fact, it is by efforts that you try to stay on the ground. You're not listening. What should have been natural is now effort. It is natural to fail. But now you are making efforts to just fail. To just say, I'm going to try at least this time not to get a distinction. But you try your best, is 75 that you come out of. 3 people got it. Have you ever been to the place where you are so embarrassed by your success? You say, I'm just going to slow down a little bit. I'm going to try really my best to be humble this time. But your level of humility is not really humility. Church, you're not listening. Your level of just dropping it down is not really dropping it down. It seems more like an upgrade and say, you know what? Oh my goodness. You say, I really tried. I really tried. Because those who pray are not subject to the same laws of those of the same nature. I'm not subject to the laws that controls you. When I'm a person of prayer, I'm no longer subject to the laws or to natural laws. I become subject to supernatural laws. So supernatural laws work upside down in the face of natural laws. Where you have to make efforts to succeed in the supernatural laws, you now have to make effort to fail. Now the ambience is set up in a way that even if you wanted to fail, there's no way you can fail. I don't know, I'm fascinated by science. And sometimes I spend my time watching NASA stuff and just watching people go on space and so forth and so on. And said, once you get in the space, you become weightless. You don't feel your body. You don't feel anything. You can lift a 1-ton thing. Because everything becomes weightless. You are not, listen, if that same person comes on earth, he cannot do what he can do in space. Church, you're not listening to me this morning. We take Zayana or Altivan and say, please lift up this speaker. It is impossible. He can never carry it. She can never carry it. But you take them, same age, same size, same strength, same kilogram of weight they need to lift. You bring them in a space out of the atmosphere. They lift it with their finger. And you ask yourself, this is witchcraft. No, it's not witchcraft. We are operating in different dimensions. Now my issue is this. Why are you trying to limit yourself to natural laws when you are a supernatural somebody? Lord, help our church to realize that we are storm riders. You see, we are trying to reason with natural laws. But God is saying, you are not of this world. Come on. How are you forgetting that you are not bound to the laws of the place where you are subjected to? Because the same thing you can't do here, you take it here. All things are possible. Here, I can't even push. But here, all things are possible. I can even try to breathe into it and it can move. But here, I breathe. It looks at me and says, you are not doing nothing. But I come this way. I just point my finger. The things begins to spin. And I come here. They're telling me you're not good enough. I'm here to tell you, this side is better. I said, this side is better. Oh, you're not listening to me. This side is better. So when you have failed to do everything, turn your engine, lift your spaceship. Listen, the spaceship begins its journey on earth. But its journey is not to fly on earth. A spaceship does not have the assignment to fly you from Africa to America, or fly you from America to Asia, or fly you from Asia to Australia. A spaceship has an assignment to take you out of the atmosphere. And once you are outside of the atmosphere, it becomes possible for you to become anything you can ever be. Now, prayer is that engine. It's not your transport from issue to another issue. And say, at least I'm not where I used to be. That's not prayer. Prayer removes you of the atmosphere. The atmosphere that could let you fail, it removes you out of that atmosphere. The atmosphere that made you sick, it removes you out of that atmosphere. The atmosphere that could get you divorced, it removes you out of that atmosphere. Now, once you are removed out of that atmosphere, it becomes impossible for whatsoever the enemy wants to do to ever take place in your life. This Sunday morning, I'm here to tell you, every time you begin to breathe prayer in your house, every time you begin to breathe prayer in your family, the atmosphere begin to change. And when the atmosphere begin to change, I'm no longer subject to the laws of the previous atmosphere. I am now subject to the atmosphere under which I operate. And in this atmosphere, I am the head and not the tail. In this atmosphere, I am above and not beneath. So whether I'm on the water, I am above and not beneath. Whether I'm in the midst of the storm, I am above and not beneath. Whether they are trying to retrench everybody in my work, I am above and not beneath. I wish you could preach to your neighbor and say, prayer has the power to bring you from down below and bring you way up. Jesus went to pray, and when he showed up, he wasn't swimming, he was walking. And this Sunday morning, I want to prophesy, every time you pray, what is expected, you will not deliver it at the same level, but you begin to operate from glory to glory. Touch your neighbor this morning and tell them, prayer is the escalator of progress. What does that mean? It means I will progress without my feet. What does that mean? I just have to show up, and prayer begins to lift me up. This Sunday morning, you are knocking on doors, but get on the ladder of prayer. This morning, you are asking for a job. Get on the step ladder of prayer. It is an escalator that never breaks down. It will lift you up no matter what your size is. This Sunday morning, I'm telling you, they have prepared already how much strength, how much capacity you can have. And they said, according to your ability, according to your capacity, you're gonna get there in 10 years. But God said, just wait a minute, get in the prayer room. What they said will take forever, I'm gonna do it now, because prayer connects you now to the future, and the future is the eternity, and in eternity there is no time. So breaking news, God is not gonna do it because whatever is gonna do is already done. Church, you didn't capture that. Help me with my volume. I said this morning, every time you go into pray over something, God is in the space, is in a realm that is called eternity. So in that realm, there is no time. There is no 12, there is no 6, there is no 9, there is no 3. In that realm, everything is in the now. Now, if everything is in the now, ask me, how is God gonna do tomorrow where he lives, there's no tomorrow. How is God gonna do it next year where he lives? There is no next year. Whatever is needed for your life, it's already there. Now prayer takes you out of the time, bring you in eternity, so you can get what God has in store for you now. Somebody shout now. Oh, I don't hear you shout now. The Bible says, for now we are more than conquerors. I have not fought yet, but I'm already a conqueror, because my conquering power is not in the fight, is in what God has already done. Slap your neighbor and say, prayer brings your life in the agenda of eternity. In the agenda of eternity. I see you blessed. In the agenda of eternity. I see you breaking through. In the agenda of eternity. I see you recover. In the agenda of eternity. I see you overtake. In the agenda of eternity. I see you win. This Sunday morning, shout, I am a storm rider. So when I see the storm, what do? I position myself. I'm on the board. The storm is coming. I'm on the board. I'm not scared of you. You're gonna take me where I need to be. Storm, I want you to know, this time around, I took my surfing class. I went in prayer, and prayer taught me how to ride every wave. This Sunday morning, I need somebody to get position. Get position. Get position. I said get position. I have no engine. I have no wheels. I have no wheels. But all I have is a board and the waves. I'm gonna be what God said I shall be. Hold your neighbor's hand and tell them, I prophesy supernatural anointing, favor. I see the waves, but all I know, I'm gonna ride. I'm gonna ride. I'm riding through the waves. Through the waves. I'm making it through the storm. I'm making it through pain. I'm making it through rejection. I'm making it through failure. I'm making it through destroy. I'm making it. I am a wave rider. I am a wave rider. I am taking it by the hair. Shout and give God praise. Shout. They don't know how I'm making it, but all I know, every time I see the wind change, I begin to watch for the waves. And when the waves are coming up, I jump in the water. That is why David could not stay when he saw Goliath. What do you see? Goliath. It's a wave. 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 Why are you afraid of the storm? You are a storm. Say yes. Say yes. Say yes. I'm a storm rider. I'm a storm rider. I will ride these waves. The end of this year, I will ride you till I victory. I will ride you till I win. I will ride this wave till I get there. Devil, I'm supernatural. Don't joke with me. Don't play with me. My engine is still functional. The power. That's why it says Elijah was a man like you and I. He was a man like you and I. What changed? Until he prayed. You are like the rest of your family until you pray. You are like the rest of your friends until you pray. You are like the rest of the world until you pray. He was a human as we are. Yet, when he had prayed, the difference is not in how tall, how short we are. The difference is not in the ceremonies we attend, even Sunday service celebration. The difference is the fire burning in you. Is there fire burning in you? The most careless thing a believer can do is to become a prayerless believer. The most reckless thing you can do as a responsible believer is to be prayerless. And this morning, the year is coming to an end. Sure, you're getting tired. Sure, maybe things has not been easy for you. Sure, you've been believing God, but now you will have been somewhere. The problem is you are focusing on that, but you don't focus on the atmosphere that changes every dynamics. Because if you're going to talk about the natural laws, then it's another conversation. But since we are not subject to natural laws, why don't we look at the possibilities of what you and I can become? The storm ahead of us is not to sink us, but it's to propel us into our destiny. I am not the man I am today because of peace around me. I am the man I am today because of the trouble I've been through. And the trouble taught me to pray. A pastor called me yesterday morning. He was excited. He usually joked with me and said, "Bishop, I see that you have millionaires in your church." I said, "Why?" He said, "When I saw the Facebook post of the TBN thing, I thought it was just by faith. You were just doing it and say, I'm going to be on TBN. You are just picking things that are not as though they were." And then this morning I went and I started checking the schedule on TBN. I saw Phronesis, 11 o'clock, exploring God's wisdom. I touched my head. I say, Pastor Guelord is on another level. I don't know what he has touched. It is not what you have touched. It is what atmosphere are you living under. Because it does not make sense. How can a small boy lift something so weighty with a finger? And you say, wow, this must be some magic. Check what atmosphere is he operating under. Because he can be in a place where there's no gravity. And if there's no gravity, there's no weight. Everything is weightless. There's no effort. And I realized that we did not get there by just being cute, acting nice, dressing up in suits. We got there on our knees. Neglect everything in your life, but never neglect prayer. If Jesus, the Son of God, went and prayed, how much more about you and I? You are a believer, you don't even give yourself a day to just devote yourself to pray. Not to ask, but to just have the presence of God in you, to operate in His atmosphere. And I know God is doing something, stirring us to greater things. I have other points, but I feel like God is really leading me to stay here today. And I pray that this morning God triggers an appetite, a hunger, a desire, a longing to just tarry in His presence. I just want to be where you are. I just want to be where you are. I just want to be you.